This is Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Finally, an absolutely gorgeous day in Winnipeg. Not sure whether it's going to hang around for May long weekend, but we will take it. The vibes are high, and we got a busy show today. John Hodge is going to join us. We're going to talk Bomber training camp and some stories around the Canadian Football League. We've got lots to talk about with Murat from The Athletic with his latest, and it is PGA Championship week. And my man, Geoff Fienberg, will join us. We'll dive in. We'll hit the cool bet lines. We'll make a few of our favorite picks for the tourney. And Pat and I, despite Pat's suspension for this week, due to his celebrating of the Leafs winning the draft lottery last week, we have cooked up a couple specials for the Sunday Sweat Club, which we'll throw up there and we'll let you know about a little bit later on. Listen, busy day today for us because tonight, 8 p.m., is another edition of the WST Poker Series. Hope you can join us if you like playing online poker. 8 o'clock, we're going to get going. The cost is, I think it's about $32. It's 20 euros. So whatever, it's put out to, it'll say exactly what it was. I think it's around 31 or 32 bucks. There is a $100 bounty on my head if you take me out. The same goes for Michael Remis and Jeff Hamilton, a.k.a. Shortside Snipe 9. We'll be there. We've had a lot of fun with these before. Anyone that's been in, hopefully you can join us tonight. And if you haven't played before, all are welcome. What you're going to want to do is head over to CoolBet, click on poker. Once you get into the poker site, then simply go to tournaments, and then there's a little magnifying glass or a search bar where you put in WST, it'll pop up, jump in there, register, and we will see you at 8 p.m. tonight for another fun night of online poker with the WST gang and our friends over at CoolBet. And stick around for the end of the show, gang, because everyone that entered for our June 3rd event in the dining room at Assiniboia Downs, we will have our first horse race. So thanks to everyone that has gone to winnipegsportstalk.com/contest and put in their name. If you haven't, you still have time to get in because we're going to be doing this for the next 3 Wednesdays. And each Wednesday, we'll be picking a winner. They and a guest will join the WST team on the 3rd of June. We'll be up in the terrace dining room. We will crush some incredible prime rib and all the other offerings at the Assiniboia Downs buffet. And we'll make some bets and have a good time. So right after we do our picks today, we will fire it up. We've pulled 10 names. We will do our first horse race, and we'll see who's getting that invite to join us at Assiniboia Downs. We've got lots to get to. Last night in the National Hockey League, we got coach firings. We might have another one by the end of the show. So let me just quickly first thank the sponsors that make WST happen each and every day. Of course, our partners at CoolBet. We'll see you tonight, 8 p.m. for poker. Princess Auto, Chud's Power Sports, Clean Line, Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical, the Tri-Hospital Dream Lottery. You can get your tickets today at trihospitaldream.com. Manitoba Battery, Aikens Lake, Wilderness Lodge, Breezy Bend, Royal Sports, Boston Pizza, Little Brown Jug, our friends at Travel Manitoba, St. Vital Dental Center, Rollies Transfer, Assiniboia Downs. Night 2 of live racing is tonight. And, of course, the Winnipeg Goldeyes home opener next Tuesday. We'll also get to a why not question of the day for our friends over at Not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray. Connor's going to join us in a couple minutes, but first let's welcome in Michael Remis. Remo, what's up?
What's up, Huss? This is my look today, but I did just get new glasses today. They're coming in, so I had to consider, that I'm on camera now. So I had to consider what they're gonna look like. So gonna have a different face coming up.
Interesting. So those are new glasses, or
No, these are the exist. They take like 2 weeks to, put the frames in or put the lenses in, get them ready.
That's how long it takes?
They can't just like pop them in. I got a prescription. These aren't just like fake glasses here.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know. I guess that does seem like a long time. Well, I'm well overdue to get new glasses. Just ask Gary Lawless. We'll see whether that happens anytime soon. Listen, we've got lots to get to, so let's cut right to it. Wild night in the National Hockey League last night. We will touch on that, and of course, a big game tonight. But the coaches are starting to drop. This morning, Mr. John Chaika, the new general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs, informed Craig Berube that his services were no longer needed by the Buds. And while nothing is official yet, it is being reported that Chris Knobloch in Edmonton could officially receive his pink slip before the end of the day, which, to be honest, is not that surprising considering the reports yesterday that broke that the Edmonton Oilers had reached out to the Vegas Golden Knights to talk to their former coach, Bruce Cassidy, and had not yet been given permission to speak with him. That got leaked, definitely not from the Oilers side of things. So they've got a bit of a problem on their hands. So it sounds like that is going to be rectified soon. And 2 Canadian teams are going to be looking for new head coaches moving forward.
Yeah, I don't think I'm totally surprised about the Craig Berube hiring. Anytime you have a new general manager and whatever Matt Sundin's official title is come in as management, they want to bring in their own guy. And I think last year it was clear whatever Berube was doing, they weren't getting the results, and maybe his system wasn't a match for the players. They had a good season 2 years ago, when they made the playoffs, but, lose Mitch Marner, try to do some patchwork, fill-ins. It didn't work out. So starting fresh, we'll see how it works out with Gavin McKenna, but I'm interested to see who they get now, Chaika and Sundin, to fill the role. So Craig Berube, a lot of excitement when he came in, a former Stanley Cup champion, but I really don't think it worked out there.
The Kings had requested permission to speak with Bruce Cassidy. I don't believe they've received that yet. It would sort of be funny if Bruce Cassidy ended up in Toronto by the weekend before Edmonton or LA, the teams in the West and the Pacific Division, had even gotten a chance to speak with him. I'm not sure how that's going to go.
Yeah, I guess Toronto's a really high-profile job, as it is the Maple Leafs, and it comes with pressure. Like, you want to win there, but they're not close to winning. Like, wouldn't you rather coach Edmonton? Like, wouldn't you just were in Vegas, wouldn't you want to coach in LA?
And be able to stick it to the team that gassed you with 8 games left in the regular season. He was very clear when he was doing his media thing. Media bit over the course of the playoffs that he would have liked an opportunity to finish the job out and finish the season this year.
And Bruce Cassidy, he's, I think of him as this like American coach because he coached Boston and Vegas, but he's a Canadian from Ottawa. He's coached for Team Canada, so he does have that relationship with McDavid. I guess it's like, hey, do you want to take over this Toronto job on a team that just missed the playoffs rather than a team that has Stanley Cup aspirations with McDavid, like Edmonton, even if they had a pretty disappointing exit this year?
It's not just Stanley Cup expectations. It is, as much pressure that any coach or any team is going to be under because, as we've talked about, there's 2 years left on this McDavid contract. But to me, it's all about next year for the Oilers. If they have a similar season to what happened this year and they're just mid and they go out in the first round of the playoffs, I think it's likely that they have to explore trading him next year if they don't think that he's going to be re-signing with the team. So that ramps up the urgency to take this thing forward. And obviously, Bruce Cassidy would be at the top of many teams' lists, but it's a pretty unique opportunity if you can get a team that has 97 on it, as well as Leon Draisaitl and the other guys in there, despite the issues of that team. So we'll wait to hear the official news on Knobloch, but it sounds like he's a dead man walking, and Craig Berube is the is now on the free agent line, along with some other coaches that have been dusted last season. Charlie McAvoy got 6 games. Remis, you thought maybe it was just going to be a league fine.
Should have been.
There was some reason that he got the in-person interview. That's going to cost him a lot of money. 6 regular season games next year for Charlie McAvoy, but that was done. And of course, the victim in that was Zach Benson, who was one of the heroes last night for the Buffalo Sabres. I got to tell you, I've been watching hockey and Stanley Cup playoff hockey for a long time. That game last night was one of the most bizarre games I can remember. And I mean, I know it's game 4 of round 2. There's tons of these games each and every year, but I mean, there's no other word to describe it. Absolutely bizarre replay marathon that happened. Was it a goal? Was it not a goal? 10 minutes later, it's a goal. And then that is challenged for goalie interference. Like, I can't remember a more crazy replay scenario in a long time. And then with all of the things that have been going Montreal's way, the hockey gods, some will say because the fans were doing the wave at 2-2 last night. What happens? Puck off the stanchion, off Dobish, in. It completely changes the game. And the Buffalo Sabres off the winner by the birthday boy, Zach Benson, even the series at 2-2. That was one we'll remember for a long time for a lot of really weird reasons.
Yeah, it really looked like Montreal was going to take a stranglehold on the series. They're up 2-1. Buffalo got on the board first again, but Montreal answered back quickly. Alex Newhook, who's got 6 goals in the playoffs, and Cole Caulfield on a sharp angle on the power play slides it under the pad of Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, who's in the net, who hasn't had a particularly great playoffs. And you're like, man, it's not looking good here for Buffalo. But as you mentioned, in the second period, Tage Thompson, that was a power play goal off the stanchion on a dump in. And you got to be ready for those, Dobish. It's the playoffs. Strange things can happen. And yes, that changed the game, and it was another power play goal by Zach Benson, who's definitely had a coming out party here. Josh Doan assisting on that as well, as in addition to Tage Thompson. So I thought this series was over, but Buffalo, they looked a lot different, I think, in this one than they did previously.
I'm with you. The end of the first period with Caulfield scoring with 13 seconds left, and Buffalo had such a great start to that game. They score early. They think they're up 2-0. To go to the room down 2-1, I actually thought Buffalo was toast. But obviously, they got a nice little break. They got back into it. And credit to both goalies. I thought UPL in the second and third period really stepped up after that. Caulfield goal should not have gone in. He just didn't play it very well. It was too wide open. He just slid it in along the ice. But Dobish was really good after what had happened. The goaltending has been awesome at times. Now, it's mostly been Alex Lyon for Buffalo. Last night, it was UPL stepping up after a tough first period. But the other thing, Reem, that I can't wrap my head around is just how undisciplined both teams, but especially the Sabres, were last night. Tage Thompson went into the game saying, we got too emotional in game number 3. That was embarrassing for the Sabres, how many penalties they were taking. And, what the hell is wrong with Bowen Byram? 6 minutes and high sticking penalties in the second period alone. And I don't know, that there was more high sticks in that game than we've seen in a really long time. And it ended up being very impactful with all the power plays. And it was tough to really get going at 5-on-5 very much. We did see Luke Schenn in, and man, was it the full Schenn experience right off the bat. First shift, muffs the puck. Montreal gets it. They get some big pressure. And then later on, that series right around the net where he was very lucky to not get a penalty and very lucky not to put it into his own net at that point. He finished with 7 minutes. Did not see a lot of him later on in the game. But no harm, no foul. Didn't cost his team anything, and Buffalo is now tied this series at 2-2. That's they'll be talking about that one for a long time.
That stanchion is going to be replayed for forever. I don't know if they named the stanchion one of the 3 stars of the game, and if Buffalo wins the series, are they going to go and take that piece of glass out and parade it around Buffalo in the back of a car, like the inanimate carbon rod on the
Buffalo
Simpsons?
Blade Gang. They can just get it and they'll carry it.
They'll carry it.
Rollerblade down the streets of Buffalo, holding the pane of glass.
And you mentioned we did have 2 high sticking penalties there for 4 minutes. I'm seeing some players online being accused of, lubing up any pre-existing cuts before the game, like in case you do get a slash in the face, that they're more likely to bleed. Do we need to change this blood rule? I kind of like it because, for one, it's binary. If you're either bleeding or you aren't. But you see the guys try to squeeze blood out of their face, and, some people get cut more easily. It can be a nothing slash, but you get on the right spot, you could bleed. I don't really like this blood rule, Huss. It's kind of stupid, I think, and we saw it in full effect yesterday.
I got a great way of not having to worry about it. Don't hit guys in the face with your stick. That would be my solution to it all. Don't be Bowen Byram. Have control of your stick, and can make that work. We'll see what Connor's got to say on that. Vegas, big overtime win. Blew the lead late. Guess who was out there with 3 minutes left, down 1 goal? Of course, Jeffrey VL. Didn't get in on the tying goal. Was out there in the celebration. But then it was Dorofeyev with the second of the playoffs. Vegas is up 3-2. Let's bring in Connor Rabchak, check in. Maybe just to allow him to show off his new haircut. Looking good, Connor. How are you?
Went a little too short at the barber, Huss, but it's okay.
Summertime.
You got to feel the sun on your scalp, right? That's the whole point. But
nice close-up for you.
That was an accident. But it worked.
We get real close. Yeah, take a look. No.
That was not intentional.
Connor, we've got a great new video up on the YouTube channel. Getting together, just taking a look at UFAs, RFAs from a Jet perspective. But just before we hit that, what a crazy game last night, huh?
Yeah, that was wild. I mean, even the second game was crazy too, going to overtime, the Ducks and the Golden Knights. But yeah, the stanchion. I like what you guys are saying there. They're gonna parade it around Buffalo if this series changes around. Like, unbelievable. Because we were talking on this show yesterday, like what a moment for Montreal to take a stranglehold on the series, right? And they weren't able to do that, obviously. Buffalo
Didn't
played
it feel like they had that at the end of the first? Like
yes.
That late goal, no business being up in that game. The crowd's going crazy. And then Buffalo to there. And UPL, I mean, listen, he made some big saves, which they absolutely had to have. Because any one of the, like if that got to 3-1, turn the lights out on the Buffalo Sabres, at least for that night.
For sure. And it was very similar to Game 3, Huss, where Buffalo scores the first goal of the game. They have a good start. And then Montreal just completely took that game over. And then I was sitting there thinking, like, man, this 10, 15-minute delay is really beneficial for Montreal because they came out to that game so slow. And you have the long delay, which I'm sure Cole Perfetti was watching somewhere thinking, how is that called a goal? And mine last year wasn't called when Jordan Binnington, it was in his glove, and common sense says it's in the net, but they obviously ruled it a goal. But then they challenged for goalie interference, and it comes back anyways. But that was a very long delay. I thought it did benefit Montreal because Buffalo was the better team. You get to pause a little bit, and then Montreal obviously scores the next 2 goals of the game. But yeah, unbelievable. Penalty-filled contest, but clearly, Huss, all the Sabres needed to do was get Logan Stanley out of the lineup for Luke Schenn, right?
Yeah, listen, I mean, it was funny. I was paying
record.
Attention to see Luke in there, and I don't know. I mean, if I'm Lindy Ruff, I'm going back to Stan for Game 5.
Agreed.
Agreed. I couldn't believe they made that decision in the first place, and there was a couple moments where it was like, okay. And I didn't think they had a lot of confidence in Luke later on in the game. I don't think he played
7 minutes
at all in the third period when the game was tight. And then of course Vegas, 1 win away from moving on, although Anaheim hanging in there and very much live to get this one back for a 7th game in Vegas. But you've been hard at work putting together yet another chapter of the Winnipeg Jets offseason for Winnipeg Jet fans. Why don't you fill everyone in what's waiting for them when they're done, the main show of WST over on the YouTube channel?
Yeah, my UFA RFA preview. It's become an annual video here on the channel, and I love doing it. Last year, there were some high-profile names in there. We had Nikolai Ehlers pending UFA, Gabe Vilardi, Dylan Sandberg were RFAs. So there was a lot more to discuss last offseason, I will say. But this offseason, still some intrigue. Cole Perfetti is the most notable name. Restricted free agent. What is his contract going to look like? I think that's a daily discussion we're having on this show, because you could really go many different ways with Cole Perfetti. They can sign him one more year and have him be an RFA next offseason. So if they wanted to just bridge him again and kick the can down the road and say this season was a write-off because of the high ankle, they can do that. Isak Roseanne is another RFA that is kind of intriguing. Didn't really get much opportunity after the trade deadline here, but still an interesting contract for sure. And then the UFAs. You have guys like Gus Nyquist and Ville Heinola that are in a tier of their own that it's like very, very, very unlikely that they come back.
Yeah, that's the bye-bye category.
Yes, exactly. Bordering on a 0% chance.
Thank you for your service.
Yes, and then you have some depth defensemen like Jacob Bryson and Colin Miller. Do the Winnipeg Jets look to bring those guys back as in sort of depth roles on the back end? And then obviously you have Jonathan Taves is the biggest name. Is he going to retire? Is he going to come back? And then you have a goalie, Eric Comrie. In his projected contract, I touch on it in the video. It's a 2-year, $1.5 million deal. There's been talk on this program. I know you've been asking Daniel Fink and some other Jets voices, is Dom DiVincentis maybe ready for that backup role next season? Thomas Milic as well. The Jets organization do have 2 young goaltenders on the Moose. So what do they decide to do at the backup goaltender position? But I went through all of the RFAs, all of the UFAs, and went through their projected contracts courtesy of AFP Analytics. And I gave my thoughts on whether I think the projection is high or low and whether or not I think those players will be back next season.
We'll be able to spend a lot of time talking about the Perfetti situation.
Yeah.
And for me, I mean, the fact of the matter is that he didn't have a great, and listen, the last season was what it was. High expectations, injury at the start, really slow getting back, better second half. But if I'm Perfetti's agent, I'm not sure that this is the best time to lock in on a long-term deal. So it might be the best for both sides if they bridge this out one more year and kind of see if we can find out where the real Cole Perfetti is, especially considering the centers that he was playing last year with. I mean, not an ideal situation to be in for a guy that's looking for a new contract. So this could be, much like I think the organization will look at last year as a one-off, I think both sides might look at last year as a bit of a one-off for Cole and look to have a much better season and a better opportunity for a more significant long-term contract at the end of this year.
Yeah, and Huss, depending on what happens with the Winnipeg Jets roster and whether or not they make additions or make subtractions from the team, like Cole Perfetti's situation as it stands today going into next season is still the same as it was going into last offseason. He's still going to be a second line guy. He's going to be, counted on as a driver for that secondary scoring. And hopefully he takes over the top power play spot that was left by Nikolai Ehlers last year. Hopefully he can take it over next year. And, the situation, the expectations are all essentially the same for Cole Perfetti going into next year. I'll throw it to the chat. His projected contract, 4 years, in and around $6 million per season. I mean, that's Cole Perfetti, right? Like that's what you pay for second line, secondary scoring in the National Hockey League. And I do think that the element of, okay, they can take this one more year and still have him under team control, still have him be an RFA next summer, might give both sides an out in this scenario where the Jets are like, yeah, obviously our secondary scoring wasn't up to par. We thought you should have had a better season. And Cole Perfetti himself said it took him over half the season to not only come back from his ankle sprain, but feel like himself, feel more explosive. So maybe they just go 1 year, they renegotiate again next offseason, or they might go with a bit of a longer term option in and around $5.5, $6 million, something in that range.
Great stuff, folks. It is up on the YouTube channel right now. Check it out, the Jets UFA and RFA preview. And Connor will definitely be chopping it up on these topics with you and Reem as we go forward. Thanks for jumping on today, and have a great one. Looking forward to checking it out after the show.
Thanks, you as well, Huss. Yeah, have a great day. Looking forward to John Hodge here coming up. Bombers camp underway. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. Counting down to getting back out to Princess Auto Stadium. It should be awesome. There's Connor. You can give him a follow on X, of course, and check out the latest on the Winnipeg Jets over on the Winnipeg Sports Talk YouTube channel. All right, we are going to be talking to John Hodge for a bit before Murat joins us for more off-season Jets and NHL talk. Of course, John from 3 Down Nation. Before we bring in John, folks, time, if you haven't already, to get over to tryhospitaldream.com and get your tickets for the 2026 Try Hospital Dream Lottery in support of the Health Sciences Center, the St. Boniface Hospital, and the HSC Children's Hospital. And you buy early, you can win more. Right now, you've got until May 22nd to get your tickets to be eligible for the summer bonus. 11 winners worth over $95,000 in bonus prizes, and the big prize for the summer bonus, one winner will have a choice between a 2026 Land Rover Discovery Sport Landmark, a 2026 Mercedes-Benz GLC 300, valued at over $75,000, $50,000 Travel Connect voucher, plus $20,000 cash, or $62,500 cash. There'll also be 10 winners of a $2,000 shopping spree or $1,500 cash. You'll also be in for 26 early bird prizes worth over $257,000. And of course, the grand prize, $1.35 million cash, tax-free, or one of 6 $1.7 million dream home packages. Don't wait. It's all in support of a great cause, the important work of the 3 major hospitals in town. You can get your tickets right now and count yourself in at tryhospitaldream.com. You can also pick up tickets in person at London Drugs or your local Red River Co-op location. Folks, it is gorgeous outside. You're going to be working around in the yard. We've got spring and summer coming up, but you never know what weather the water brings us, and you may need the experts at Cleanline to help you out. And the great thing about Cleanline, Winnipeg's plumbing leaders for over 40 years, is that they've got you covered 24/7. Cleanline has been Winnipeg's most trusted plumbers with over 40 years of fast responses, lasting results, and most importantly, 24/7 emergency services across all of Winnipeg. Make sure to write down the number and keep it handy, 204-500-2001. That's the number that you probably don't want to call, but if you need it, Cleanline is there for you with 24-hour emergency services. They're also the leaders in plumbing, heating, and electrical services. You can find out more on all of Cleanline services and contact them through their website at cleanline.ca, or again, 500-2001 when you're in a jam. 24/7 services from our friends at Cleanline Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical. We got the long weekend coming up. A lot of people are going to be getting the cottages going, getting the boats, the ATVs out, bikes. You got to make sure you got batteries. That's why it's a busy time at Manitoba Battery, because WST listeners know that you can shop local, get the best prices in town, beating the pants off the big box stores, along with the best customer service from people that are experts in all things batteries. Now with 2 locations, Manitoba Battery, the original is on Logan Avenue. They've also got the new spot in the south side of the city on Dovercourt Drive. But if you're busy, they'll even deliver those batteries to you. So give them a call or check them out online at manitobabattery.com for all your battery needs heading into the May long weekend. Make it Manitoba Battery. Save money. Shop local. And just before we bring in John, if you have a move coming up this spring or summer, lean on our friends at Rolly's Transfer, the most trusted name in moving in Manitoba for over 60 years for your next move. Had always great feedback from all of our customers that have used Rolly's Transfer, and you might even get that cool Winnipeg Sports Talk truck that you're seeing around the city. Go to Rollies.com. Click on Request an Estimate and make sure to put in the promo code WST for a 100% for a special discount, I should say, on moving services and moving supplies. And then simply let them know when and where you're moving, what needs to be moved, and the friendly staff at Rollies will turn it around quickly with a great quote and get you locked in for the white glove treatment and service that they've been known for now into their 7th decade. For all your moving needs, make it Rollies Transfer. Find them today online at rollies.com. All right. Looks like he's getting ready for the World Cup. John Hodge joins us now with a beautiful red and white Canada hat. What's going on? How are you?
I'm doing great, Huss. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm well. I mean, I'll be honest. the weather was sort of pissing me off over the last month or so. It's felt like we've been in early April for a month. But popped out today. It is gorgeous. The Bombers are back. The horse racing is back. We got the Goldeyes home opener next week. The Sea Bears. It does kind of feel like spring is officially here. And, of course, that coincides with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers getting back to work at Princess Auto Stadium.
Yeah, you betcha. I've been to a couple of practices down at the stadium thus far. Both days it was chilly, including the very first day of rookie camp. And I didn't talk to any of the brand new faces. I was focused on some of the returning faces, the quarterbacks. But I'd imagine there was more than one rookie American who's on the field for the very first time, never been to Canada, and they're just going, what the hell did I get myself into? Like, it is the first week of May. You know, back home where I live, it's been 80 degrees every day for the last 2 months. And here I am. It is like 50 degrees Fahrenheit, if that. I think it was a high of 4 the first day. And like the wind was going and it's cloud, like it was just miserable. So thank goodness Manitoba has suddenly remembered that it is in fact spring, and we're getting some nice warmer weather to enjoy.
Hey, you know, before we dive into it, I mean, are you a big soccer guy? You fired up for the World Cup?
No, I don't care about the World Cup at all. I just like the hat.
Nice. Will you be supporting Canada in the World Cup? As a Canadian.
It's all irrelevant to me, Huss.
Really?
Yeah, sure.
I thought you might be a closet big time soccer guy. I don't know. Maybe it was the beer.
No, I'm a football guy. I'm a curling guy. I love live baseball. I don't really watch I won't watch baseball on television. Love it live. And postseason basketball, postseason Jets, when they make it, I'll tune in. Not really a soccer guy. I did watch a little bit of the last World Cup. I'll probably watch a little bit of this, but not a soccer guy.
Not that fired up. Well, Nevertheless, I still think the hat's pretty cool, and we'll see
Thank
a lot
you.
of that. We'll
I am
see a
a proud
lot of that
Canadian.
next month as we get ready to welcome the world here. Hey, listen, before we dive into Bombers training camp, haven't had a chance to talk to you since we last heard from Commissioner Stuart Johnson. What do you make of the latest round of announcements and changes for next season, including being a curling guy? Maybe you love a page playoff format for professional football. Probably not.
I think the page playoff makes a ton of sense for a sport that's played in 3 to 10 day increments at various tournaments across the continent.
Thank you.
And also has literally no risk. Well, I shouldn't say literally no risk, but essentially no risk of injury. Curling injuries do happen. They are exceptionally rare. Football could not be more opposite, right? Come the end of the year, these players are held together with athletic tape, adrenaline, and hopes and dreams, right? And so when you pair that with the fact that this season is too long, right? I think the big problem they're trying to solve is how do we keep people engaged late into the year? And this is a problem that exists in a lot of other sports, including baseball, including basketball, including hockey. And the reality is these seasons are just too long. If you have been following the CFL closely for 4 months, I'm sorry, by the end of that 4th month, no one is going, yeah, but what about the next 5 regular season weeks that are still coming up? No, I'm sorry. You're going, get me to the playoffs. I'm ready for the playoffs. I want to see best on best in elimination games across the country. And obviously, more games is more revenue. So these leagues are never, ever, ever going to shorten their seasons. I'm not suggesting they will. What I'm saying is the problem that they're trying to solve is self-created, which is, at least in my opinion, these seasons are too long. And by lengthening the playoffs without shortening the regular season, you might have just made that problem even worse. Again, I know there's inventory. I know they're all about extra revenue, game day revenue, television revenue through more games, but more of a product isn't necessarily better, especially when, again, it seems like part of the problem they're trying to solve is just the fact that it's too long as it is.
Yeah, listen, I still probably wouldn't have liked it, but if, say, they were going to a 16-game schedule and everyone just played each other once and you started it earlier, maybe. But, I mean, for a guy that came in, was so hell-bent on taking out the Rouge because it's kind of embarrassing. You wouldn't want someone to win on a single, which I certainly get that point of view. To put 8 teams of 9 in the playoffs, I mean, I joke when the first came, like, this better come with a public humiliation of the 9th team at the Grey Cup. Like, if you don't make it into the Grey Cup, you come in, you got to work like the stage for the halftime show or something, like in your jerseys. I mean, but I mean, and the fact of the matter is, you're going to be playing a team in the first week, that play-in week, or the, what do they call it, the division showdown. And in many cases, there will be a rematch in 2 weeks. And these teams have already played, well, formerly they would have played high-stakes games in the regular season to achieve that. I just find that it takes way too much juice from the regular season to me, John. And
well, think about it this way, Huss. This is a like the Bombers and Riders always play at least once in the preseason. Sometimes they play twice. They then play each other at minimum twice during the regular season. Often they play 3 times. We are now in a world where if the Bombers and Riders finish 1-2 or 2-1 in whatever order, we can now have them play twice in the postseason. Like, obviously, Riders Bombers has a ton of juice. In my opinion, it's the best rivalry in the CFL. But it is possible that come 2027, these teams are going to play 7 times. 7 times. Like, I'm sorry. Is diminishing returns not a thing? Like if the Ravens and Steelers played 7 times, you don't think that after that year, people are kind of going, okay, this used to be exciting when it happened twice. 7 times? Like, I'm sorry, that's ridiculous. I'm not saying it will happen, but it is not impossible, right? 2 preseason, 3 regular season, 2 postseason. Like there's such thing as too much of a good thing. So and I think, by the way, your point about the optics is absolutely bang on, right? I 100% agree with the Rouge changes. I think that was brilliant. It's bad optics to win a game on a missed field goal. You know, this is bad optics. 8 teams out of 9 making the playoffs. There's no way around that.
It'll be interesting to see how that moves forward. I mean, I didn't hear many people other than might maybe have an interest in promoting it, being in favor of it. I know a few players have come out and said, like, wait a second, what are we doing? Now the PA was involved. It's an extra game check or whatever, playoff money for some of those guys. And I do understand why they're doing it. I'm just thinking that there's got to be a better way to increase revenue, not at the expense of a regular season that traditionally down the stretch has, a lot of intrigue and some massive games that almost feel like playoff games. I don't necessarily think that we need another one. Yesterday, we found out a few tweaks for this year. We knew that the benches and all that was going to be, taken care of in all of the spots. No ties anymore, which I think is a positive. Breakdown, like, what was your reaction to kind of the finished product on the new timing system and how the last 3 minutes of the game are going to work?
So I actually love all the changes that are being made for 2026. All of them. I think they're great. We have a 35-second play clock now in the Canadian Football League for 54 minutes of the game. That's the first 27 minutes of the first and second halves. And the old system, essentially what would happen is at the end of a play, the officials would collect the football. They would need an undefined period of time to kind of get it set, get everybody back on the ball. Then they would whistle in the clock, and that's when the 20-second play clock would start. For 2026, the CFL is now going to have a 35-second play clock that starts immediately after the previous play comes to an end. And the problem that fixes is you're now not going to have that undefined period of time where sometimes everybody gets set in 5 seconds. Sometimes it takes 15 seconds. Sometimes it takes 25 seconds, right? And so the flow of the game should improve. And the other thing I loved is the CFL indicated that they've instructed the replay center during this time period not to slow down the flow of the game. In other words, unless there's a really egregious mistake that somebody has made, and I actually don't think that CFL officials make a lot of egregious mistakes. I think CFL officials are pretty darn good at what they do. Are they perfect? No, they're human beings like all of us. But I think relative to a lot of other leagues that have a lot better revenue and television deals and all those things, like I've never watched an NFL game and been like, man, these guys are killing it. They're making CFL officials look bad. If anything, I'm often like, yeah, NFL officials are not better than CFL officials. But in the last 3 minutes, the clock will revert back to the old style where you do have officials blow in plays. And what that's going to do is it's just going to provide more snaps late in the game. And with those increased kind of breaks in period, you're going to have opportunities for the replay setter to come in and correct something. And I'm a big pace of play guy. I know Stuart Johnston is as well. But I do think if there is a time when you want to slow things down and say, okay, let's take a breather. Let's make sure that that call was right. It's in the last 3 minutes of the two respective halves. So it's a little weird to have two clocks happening in the same game. But I do think you're kind of getting the best of both worlds here. So I really like the change that we're seeing for 2026 when it comes to the clock.
All right, John, let's get to Blue Bomber training camp. And, we've been talking over the last few days. Hammer was on yesterday with us. And I mean, it's always neat to kind of dive into the positional battles, but it's pretty clear. I mean, you show up at Princess Auto Stadium and you watch this Bomber group, your eyes quickly go to the monster amongst the quarterbacks of Taylor Elgersma. And it really does seem like we have the most interesting quarterback situation we've had in Winnipeg, and maybe as long as I can remember, with a drafted guy with tons of potential. We all know the story of how long it took him to get here. Him here along with another highly touted guy from the States and Bryce Perkins, and then a guy in Terry Wilson that the team has kept on the team for the last couple of years, but has seemingly been loath to actually put out in any sort of game action for the most part during his tenure as a Blue Bomber. I mean, you've been out and seen a little bit of the action. I mean, how would you assess the battle for spots, Terry Wilson's position as the sort of incumbent, and then, of course, Elgersma and Perkins as they try to make the final team?
Taylor Elgersma is the best of the bunch, in my opinion. And I don't think it's close. That's no disrespect to Bryce Perkins. That's no disrespect to Terry Wilson. That's no disrespect to Peyton Thorne. And we'll talk about those guys in a second. But Taylor Elgersma can make every single throw on the football field. And when you talk to people around the Canadian Football League, there are some who feel like the level of quarterbacking has fallen off in recent years. And that's due to a bunch of factors. One of them is just the unwillingness of guys who have made millions of dollars in college to come up and play, right? There used to be a pretty steady stream of quarterbacks who had big school NCAA success, who as soon as their NFL opportunities dry up, they come up north. And that is still happening to some extent. I mean, Max Duggan came up as a former Heisman Trophy finalist, a guy who brought TCU to a national championship game not that long ago. But that pipeline isn't a gold rush anymore. It's come to a little bit more of a trickle. And so when you bring guys into training camp, and a bunch of teams have already done it. I mean, there seemed to be some fanfare when Jordan McLeod signed with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, former Sunbelt first teamer. The same thing was true for Zach Calzada in Ottawa, who was a sensational player for the University of Incarnate Word, which, yes, is a real school that exists. And these guys have all been cut, like not even made it to the preseason. Like, they're just gone. And teams are going, okay, the incumbent that we have and the incumbent backup that we have, they're just better. Right. And it's been a long time since I went to a training camp in Winnipeg and I saw someone throwing the ball like Taylor Elgersma. Like, he can make every single throw. He's not a dual threat, but he's athletic enough to move around and change the launch point. And he's big enough that he's going to be able to absorb hits. He's 6'5", 235 pounds. He's wicked smart. And this is not a guy who it's like, he's U Sports. Like, what has he really seen? This is training camp number 6 for him at the professional level. He was part of the CFL QB internship program 3 times, twice with the Argonauts, once with the Tiger Cats. And he was with the Green Bay Packers last year, looked solid in preseason, having never played 4-down football before, and then went to camp with the Birmingham Stallions And had he had a work visa, would have been starting. So I think Taylor Elgersma is the second best quarterback on this team right now. And I don't want to put anything on the kid, but I think I'll put it this way. I think his potential is absolutely sky high. Now, the other guys, you've got Bryce Perkins. He's 29. He's got 5 years of professional experience. He was the MVP of the UFL a couple of years ago. He's somebody who's the classic, like, high floor dual threat guy. Does he have a rocket high ceiling? No, he's already 29, but he's somebody who I think could be a very adequate, like, Chris Streveler type replacement, right? He's big bodied. He can run. He can throw well enough, but he's probably not the future of your franchise. And then Peyton Thorne, who is 24, played, I think, at 48 collegiate starts between Michigan State and Auburn, went 26-22, and was coached by Grey Cup winning quarterback and head coach Kent Austin with the Tigers. I mean, to me, he's the perfect young guy to bring along. Terry Wilson, I don't know. He's only thrown 22 pass attempts over 2 CFL seasons, and I don't think his ceiling is as high as Elgersma or even Thorne. So we'll have to wait and see how it shakes out. The preseason is going to determine a lot of this, but I think right now, not even like for the future, I think right now, Taylor Elgersma is the number 2 on this team.
You know, one of the things that Geoff and I got into yesterday was, you know, about Zach, you know, playing this year, the potential of playing another year. And, you know, obviously the team is going to be better, hopefully. I mean, you know, they've improved the offensive line. That's going to help Zach Collaros. The receivers have shaken up. Hopefully that's a positive for the offense. But we could be in a scenario where he's being pushed by a guy at practice. Like I was talking yesterday, and I just think about that first year of Mahomes in Kansas City, where Alex Smith was the starting quarterback. Everyone knew he was the starting quarterback, and, you know, he was mentoring him throughout the year, but they were seeing things in practice that everyone was saying, this guy is special. And they got to the final week of the season. The Chiefs had already clinched their playoff spot. Alex, you take a rest. We're going to play Pat. It was his first start. He was phenomenal, and everyone saw these things in a game that they'd seen in practice the whole time. And it was at that moment that Andy Reid was like, okay, we know where we're going for next year, as great as Alex Smith has been for them. What do you make about the mentoring relationship, which, you know, you hope will be great between those two, but also, you know, what a young player might do to Zach, who's got a lot of pride and is a guy that's won a lot of games and feels like he is the number one and should probably be the number one as long as he feels like he's got it in him.
Well, I mean, it should be said. I mean, Drew Brown has talked about this. A bunch of guys. Zach is not he's not a Brett Favre, right? Who's kicking the rookie to the edge of the bench and basically giving him the silent treatment or telling him to do all kinds of nasty thing, right? Like, he is very much a coach, right? He wants to help develop players and mentor players. And so I think Zach would be someone who, if he wanted to do that, I obviously can't speak for Zach, nor would I try to, but I think based on his past history, it'd be fair to speculate that that might be a role that he's interested in. And I mean, I think Zach did a great job with the TSN panel during Grey Cup. I think he's somebody who could have media opportunities when his playing career is finished. I think he's somebody who could very well have coaching opportunities when his career is finished. I heard speculation. It was just rumors, just speculation, but that if Mike O'Shea ended up as the head coach in Toronto, that it wouldn't be long before Zach Collaros was potentially a coach on that staff. Of course, Collaros living year-round in the GTA. So if you are Zach Collaros, you're turning 38 in August, and obviously we all know about the history of head injuries that he has had. Missed 3 games due to injury last season, missed 5 total, 1 because of late season rest, the other because of the suspension. I mean, he's probably not a guy who's going to play 18 ever. And so it'll be interesting to see this year if he misses a game or two, who pops in. Is it Elgersma, or do they maybe give him a little bit of extra time and go to somebody who's got a little bit more experience? But I mean, look, I think that if Zach wanted to play another year, I think the Bombers could make that happen, because Taylor Elgersma is making rookie CFL money for the next 3 years through 2028. He can't make, I believe it's more than $85,000 with housing. And so if you're in a situation where your franchise guy, who not the franchise guy right now, but could be, is making that little, yeah, it's easy to keep Zach around as the 1B at, if he wants to play for, let's say, 200 with $100,000 of playtime incentives. Like, he's not going to make that much money as a coach with no previous experience. He's not going to make that much money in the media, and he still gets the opportunity to play and compete and potentially win another Grey Cup. So I think it'd be an interesting conversation. But again, I'd like to hear what Zach had to say about it. And obviously, I don't think he's going to be talking about his future until the end of this season.
Yeah, no, exactly. It'll be something that we talk about it as we see what Elgersma does in practice. And I mean, you always know, even with the success that Collaros has had, which is really unmatched for the most part in any of our lifetimes watching this football team, the number 2 guy is always pretty darn popular with the fan base. And this guy's a lot more exciting than most of the other number 2s that we've had in Winnipeg, certainly during the Zach Collaros era. John, I'll direct people over to 3 Down from last week. A pretty interesting piece on Blue Bomber training camp, 5 positional battles. Outside of quarterback, what are the key positional battles that you're paying most attention to as we get into these next couple of weeks?
Well, I was curious about the linebackers, where Tony Jones, Kyrie Wilson, and Jovan Santos-Knox were kind of competing for 2 jobs. I think that battle's already settled. Jovan Santos-Knox is not going to be playing football again anytime soon after suffering an injury on day 1 of camp. The cornerback battle, I think, is really interesting. You know, Elijah McGee was kind of a big-bodied, athletic guy, had played 3 seasons on and off with the Ottawa Red Blacks. They brought him in. He was running with the ones. He just got zipped this morning. So obviously that cornerback spot is going to be up for grabs. We know that one of those spots, just based on what they paid him in free agency, is going to be Jonathan Moxey's. I thought Jonathan Moxey was excellent with the Hamilton Tiger Cats last year. But the other corner spot is up for grabs. There's not a single player on this team other than Trey Vavel, who, depending on his load with the return game, may or may not be playing corner, who started at corner, who's back. Every other player, whether it's Terrell Bonds, who's hurt anyways, whether it's Jamal Parker, et cetera, those guys are all gone. I also think it's really interesting to see what they're going to do along the offensive line. I think it's very fair to say at this point that Patty Neufeld is going to be the right guard, and the 2 tackles are going to be Stanley Bryant and Jarrell Broxton. That leaves Tui Eli, I think, is the front runner at center, but there's also other players in the mix, including some Americans. And then left guard, like the incumbent is Gabe Wallace, who's going into a contract year. This is a big year for Gabe. But you've also got Micah Vanterpool, who started some games there. You've got Kendall Randolph, who was the starting right tackle last year. I think if you're the Bombers, you want to keep Randolph in the organization. If you want to keep him in the organization, starting him on the inside, where he played part of his collegiate career at Alabama, would make a lot of sense. And then you've got Ethan Vibert, who was a 3rd-round pick last year in the CFL draft. You've got other players in and around in the mix. And of course, as much as you're setting the offensive line for 2026, you have to remember that Stanley Bryant just turned 40, right? Patrick Neufeld is 37. So as much as those 2 guys have 2 of those 5 spots locked down, I think you also want to make your decisions about depth in 2026 with the idea that, okay, come 2027, we're probably going to have at least 1, if not 2, of these long-time starting roles open. So those are the spots that I'm really looking forward to seeing shake out: the offensive line and corner.
Hey, how the new guys looked that have joined the receiving corps early on?
I wouldn't say I spent, admittedly, a ton of time watching the receivers. I know that Dorian Singer is somebody who people are talking about. He's kind of been highlighted out of Utah. Jaden Harrison, I believe, is the converted quarterback. But admittedly, I was mostly watching the quarterbacks and then the defense. I will also say the receiving. I mean, if this team does play 3 Canadians in the starting lineup, which could absolutely be the case if they go extra Americans on the O-line, those spots are likely already settled. I mean, we'll see about Joey Corcoran, we'll see about Gavin Cobb, but like, I think you're obviously starting Nick Debsky, and based on what you paid him, you're certainly starting Tommy Neild, who by all accounts has looked really good. So if there's only 2 American spots in the receiving corps to start, I mean, you're not taking Tim White off the field. You're not taking Pokey Wilson off the field. So if someone else is going to earn a roster spot as an American rookie receiver, they're going to have to do it either with special teams value, potentially as a returner, or they're going to have to do something really exceptional where the team is like, whoa, okay, we don't even necessarily have a starting job for this guy right now, but we're going to stash him because come injury, we think he can do something amazing. So I'm curious to see, but at least for me, I'm mostly going to have to wait till I think preseason gets underway to get a better look at those guys.
John, great stuff as always. Man, we're all systems go into the preseason, to the start of the year. Fill people in on what you and the gang at 3 Down Nation has for everyone's CFL fix.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a bunch of position battle articles out that are team specific. I obviously wrote Winnipeg's, we got Saskatchewan, we got Hamilton. So if you want to read Ottawa as well, some of those, it's good reading. BC, my colleague JC Abbott, I believe, is working on one as well that he'll have out. And then we've got power rankings coming up. We haven't done power rankings since free agency, so we're looking forward to getting that out there. And obviously, we're going to have reaction to all the preseason games. I know some people, especially when they're not televised, I believe they'll all be streamed for free on CFL Plus. But if you miss some of the preseason games because they sometimes take place at the same time, like in conjunction with each other, we're going to have all the written reaction up at 3downnation.com so people can find our reaction from our contributors there.
John, can't wait to get going with the season and looking forward to more chats with you throughout the year. Thanks so much for doing this and keep up the great work over at 3 Down.
Thanks for having me, Huss. Anytime.
Good stuff. There is John Hodge. Check him out on X. And of course, he, Dunk, and all the crew over at 3 Down Nation have your CFL fix covered on a daily basis. All right, we're going to get back to the Jets and some puck. Murat Tesh joining us in just a couple minutes. Of course, we just finished talking about everything happening down at Princess Auto Stadium as the Bombers get going on in another season. Of course, Princess Auto, proud sponsors of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, their home, and Winnipeg Sports Talk. Princess Auto, founded and headquartered in Winnipeg, now serving Canadians coast to coast with the best deals on the most unique assortment of tools and equipment around. Everything you need to complete the projects on your list or start something new waiting for you at Princess Auto. So pop by and see them. Panet Road, Portage Avenue West, Brandon, as well as you can shop online 24/7, 365 over at princessauto.com. It was fun talking about the busy time over at Manitoba Battery right now. Big reason for that is everyone is getting ready to start the spring and summer. And I know the Derminator and the gang over at Chud's Power Sports are ready for May long weekend. They're actually going to be closed for the 16th, 17th, and the 18th. But right now is the time to get down to Chud's because they are stocked with motorcycles, ATVs, side-by-sides, golf carts, outboard motors, boats, farming equipment, RVs, boats, and more. Everything you need to take your spring and summer to another level. They've been in business for 80 years. They've got the most experienced customer service team in the biz. Great financing options and awesome start of the season deals right now, as well as incredible inventory of used vehicles as well. So make the trip down Highway 8 at the corner of 231. See our friends at Chud's Power Sports. You can also check out everything they've going on right now at chudspowersports.com. And while you're at it on the website, you can see in the top right corner, you can click on e-commerce store. That'll take you to True North Parts, where there's parts, garments, accessories, all at big discounts with discount prices every day. It's all waiting for you from our friends at Chud's Power Sports. All smiles with this weather we're getting today. Speaking of smiles, if you need to get that smile worked on, why don't you head over to St. Vital Dental Center? Our pal Dr. Terry and his wonderful team would love to take care of you and your family, as they've been doing for generations of Winnipeggers and Manitobans, serving clients from 6 months to 99 plus with a full array of dental services, from cleanings, checkups, to things like dental implants. They can do it all. They've got a beautiful new facility, 167 St. Anne's Road, convenient free parking right behind the building. So for all your dental needs, hit them up online at stvitaldental.ca. Make an appointment, pop by and say hi to Dr. Terry for us. And just before we bring in Murat, we got a big one tonight. Avalanche and Wild. Minnesota tries to extend their season in Denver. No better place to get together with your gang to watch it than your local Boston Pizza. The game will be on all the screens with big sound, ice cold schooners, and the playoff menu is unreal. You got the pizza flights back, the wing flights back, the MVP platter, and so much more. So check them out today in your local Boston Pizza Sports Lounge. And if you are staying at home, you can get it hot and fresh to your door by ordering online at bostonpizza.com. All right, let's talk some puck and welcome in Murat from The Athletic. Murat, what's going on? How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. I decided I'd grab a seat, sit comfy. Nobody's crying or needing to be swayed back and forth this week. So I hope you'll have just me. I hope we can have some fun.
Yeah, no problem. We didn't mind. It was great to see the little one there, but this might be a little easier. Just as we get into the segment, I should mention that it's brought to you by the Prairie Toyota dealers and the Toyota Tacoma with the standard iForce engine boasting an impressive towing capacity of up to 6,400 pounds. It's the most powerful Tacoma ever. So whether you're hauling gear to the rink or heading to an away game, you can tackle it with ease. And when it is time to load up, the available power liftgate makes loading your gear in and out a cinch. Experience power, capability, and convenience with the Toyota Tacoma. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Prairie Toyota dealer during Red Tag Days from March through May. Hey, Murat, just before we get to your latest in The Athletic on the Jets off season, did you see the Montreal-Buffalo game last night? What an absolutely bizarre hockey game.
You know what? I got to concede. I have been following closely. Last night I didn't see. Now we got some yard work right outside my windows. I didn't see. I saw the highlights of Thompson's goal that bounced in, and that's all I've got. I know Luke Shen played, but what can you tell me?
Well, first of all, the most bizarre replay situation I can remember in a long, long time. A puck that looked like it was a brilliant save on the goal line. They play for about 3 minutes. A whistle happens. They realize, hold on a second, this might have gone in to the net. Took them probably 8 to 10 minutes to determine that it was a goal. They announce a goal, and then Montreal challenges it for goaltender interference. 5 minutes later, it gets taken off the board. It was legitimately the longest replay break I think I've ever seen. And then Montreal, after Buffalo just had an incredible start, thought they were up 2-0, goes up 2-1 going into the break. You have the Sabres for a change getting a little love from the hockey gods, and then Zach Benson, I mean, what can you say about him and what he's been doing, gets the winner, and now all of a sudden it's 2-2 heading back to Buffalo. But yes, the Tage Thompson stanchion goal, that's the sort of thing we're used to happening to the Montreal Canadiens, not the other way around.
It's wild. I guess like one lesson is if you're going to go on a lengthy playoff run, you're going to have to overcome some bullshit at some point. You know what I mean? Like things happen. And if you're a good team, you make it through. I know that, 2-2, it should feel like a clean slate and with a lot of work ahead. I historically tend to think that the Buffalo Sabres are cursed, whether it's against Dallas in 99, whether it's 2006 when they're probably better than the Hurricanes in the Eastern Conference Final, but every defenseman gets hurt. Like 5 of them end up missing time, including Teppo Numminen, former Jets legend. Like I tend to associate the Sabres with some of the worst downfalls in terms of playoff history. Maybe that Thompson goal and otherwise can be a bit of a turning point for them. I'd hop on the bandwagon a little bit if good things happen to them, I'll admit.
Yeah, no doubt. And listen, I mean, the atmosphere in Montreal is just the one other thing that was crazy for two teams that have gotten to this point and know the stakes of these games. It was the most undisciplined game. I mean, there were so many high sticking penalties. It was... Well, we'll see whether the lessons were learned going into that crucial Game 5 moving forward. But let's get to the Jets. Obviously, last week we had the lottery. They ended up finishing in the 8th pick. And your latest at the Athletic is the question that some have brought up. Should the Winnipeg Jets trade the number 8 pick in the NHL draft? I mean, before we get into, the history of the 8th pick and what this could do for the Jets, give us the Cole's notes on the thought of doing it, why the team would, and maybe the pros and cons on either side from your perspective.
Yeah, I love the topic because there's legitimate reasons to argue on both sides of it. The absolute truth of it, though, Huss, is when people talk about the Winnipeg Jets moving the number 8 pick, I have a gut reaction that is just acidic. Like, I think emotionally, before I start thinking, I go, oh my goodness, are you going to send out another first-round pick chasing after success for this core that just missed the playoffs? That's the line of thinking that I go down. And I go through Sean Monahan helped the power play, but he signed somewhere else. Paul Stastny way back in the day was a great addition, but he signed somewhere else. Kevin Hayes, decent bet, didn't really help. He also signed somewhere else. And you keep sending these assets out, and you don't retain the players you bring back. So you got to send more assets out. You get Dubois, you make a great trade with him to LA, but that doesn't solve your problems either. It's been a source of constant drain, Winnipeg Jets and first-round picks. And I think when people start talking about it, I go through to an emotional place that just says, no, it's dumb, it's ridiculous. And then you start thinking it through. And I guess it starts by accepting if you accept that the Winnipeg Jets want to be good, that there's no rebuild happening, and that they're not really interested in just repeating this mediocrity year after year, they've got to do something. You might not accept that. You might be team rebuild. You might be looking at other options, and you don't have to think that they should be trying to win. But if they are, what are they going to do? They have cap space, great. Well, UFAs don't tend to sign in Winnipeg. They've got cap space, great. A third of the league has some kind of no trade protection. Okay, so they've got to figure out some way to trade. Who's on the roster that's expendable? Honestly, the Jets need to add way more than they need to subtract. They have a good top line, an average top line, which is a great line by any other standards. You want Velarde, you want Perfetti, you want Sandberg, you want Morrissey all being part of the future in terms of other pieces teams will ask about. Hellebuck's not going to get you a king's ransom, I don't think. So, and even if he did, what are you meant to do? So then you go, okay, well, the Jets have a first-round pick. It's number 8 overall. What is the actual value of such a thing? And that's where my most recent piece gets into it. And it goes into analytical history. It goes into trade history of first-round picks, including some pretty big trades made last year. And basically the conclusion is any trade can be won. There are examples of teams winning trades where they move the pick. I continue to believe that if you get a good player in a trade, like if you get the best player, you tend to win the deal. But the Winnipeg Jets' number one consideration by a mile has got to be retention. Because if they trade a number 8 overall pick for a player who stays for 2 or 3 years or something to that effect, great, it helps this window that's not that electric already. Maybe you win the trade, but then in the long run, you're doing this dance all over again. And I think that the number 8 pick is Winnipeg's best play at top-end talent that stays in Winnipeg because you've got control over it for 7 years. It should be worth more to the Jets than anybody else.
Yeah, and now listen, I mean, I love the conversation, but full disclosure, I'm right there with you. I mean, I don't really like the idea of trading this pick. I think that for a team that needs to excel at drafting and developing, this is a unique opportunity to get a top 10 player that hopefully will be a cornerstone for the franchise moving in, albeit not probably helping for a year or maybe 2. But it is important to note as we get into this, the value of the 8th pick. Not all drafts are created equally. And we're dealing in 2026 with a really talented group of defensemen at the top of the draft, a couple centers, some players that probably won't be available. So, I mean, the pick does look to be, maybe this is a good year to be in that 8th spot as opposed to some years where the draft is really top heavy and then kind of falls off a cliff. But historically, you looked into this with the help of Dom Lucian. What is the general value of the 8th pick? And then we can get into what that might fetch on the trade market.
Yeah, I like your consideration. Like, not every draft class is created equal. So if you like the top 8 prospects before things begin to dip, and I do, based on my reading of some great people's work as well as talking to scouts and the like. That's one thing. But historically, what is an average number 8 pick? It tends to turn into, if you go into years of history, kind of a bottom tier top 6 forward. So think of a second line player, but not the one that you're begging to be on the first line, the one that you're like, oh, they're fine on the second line. They're an absolute luxury if they're on the third. So that's a pretty good player, but not a superstar by any stretch. Think of second line forward. I mean, Cole Perfetti would be a solid example right now, though you might imagine that he grows in the next few years. That's the type of tier of player that you're thinking. In the piece I talked about Lafreniere as an example, similar to that type of quality right now, which is obviously a disappointment because he went so early in the draft. It's also kind of a bottom tier top 4 defenseman. So somebody on your second pair who can play tough competition, doesn't dominate it, but can realistically eat those minutes. And, you might think of a Neil Pionk as a Jets comparable to that type of player. These don't, like, the average is not a star, but it is an NHL player who helps. And I think the Winnipeg Jets need plenty of NHL players at those abilities and levels. And if you think that Daxon Rudolph or Albert Smeets or whoever is going to end up in that spot, or if you like what Zach Benson is doing and you think Viggo Bjork, another undersized forward, can do that in the playoffs, if you think that's a little bit better than your average draft year, it really makes me think that you got to take that pick and make it, unless you can really beat your, low-end second-line player or top 4 defenseman.
I'm always interested in, anyone that follows the National Football League draft will notice that there's always a ton of pick trades where teams are moving up 3 spots in the first round, or they're trading 2/3 and a 5th to get a second rounder at a particular point. And, historically, I think Jimmy Johnson was the one that originally came up with. There was a trade value chart that most of the teams sort of prescribed to. That hasn't really been the case in the National Hockey League. Certainly there's less activity for it, but you kind of dove in with the Puckpedia guys looking at some of the pick trades. Do we get a better idea of what a top 10 pick is worth looking back at other teams that have made, whether it be players for first rounders or jockeying around with actual trades that were for a draft pick that got teams more draft capital with moving out a better pick?
Yeah, it's a great area of discussion. And you know what? I think that internally, the majority of NHL teams do have some kind of model for what a draft pick is worth. Mm-hmm. And whether that's they're an analytics invested team and they have a very specific mathematically driven reason why this pick is worth this price. And then you could say, hey, well, the 8th is worth the 16th and the 25th. Every team's going to have its own view of it. Most of those teams are going to have an analytically driven view of it. Not all the analytics are going to agree because they're probably going to look at their own studies. But if you're a team like Winnipeg that has the number 8 pick, and you have a better sense of what these draft pick values are than other teams do, there's probably a lot of hay to be made in these incremental improvements of trading down from 8 to 16 and 18. And if the team that has that, I think that's the Washington Capitals right now, if they like that deal and your model tells you, well, those picks are more likely to turn into NHL players or NHL players with comparable ceilings or what have you than the Capitals model is or what have you, whoever is doing the best job of those is going to pay dividends down the line. And you can find examples of NHL teams that are really doing a lot of that. I should say the Capitals have been one. They make a lot of trades involving draft picks. Carolina Hurricanes, the Pittsburgh Penguins traded down their first last year to the Flyers for 2 picks. You see teams that you might typically associate with analytically engaged front offices make those kinds of deals. They turn them into more picks. They make good picks when they have the opportunities, and generally those smarter teams have done well in the NHL.
Murat, when I think about trading the pick, most of the scenarios churn my stomach, but there is one scenario that actually is really intriguing to me, especially after what happened last week at the draft lottery, and that's trading up. The Sharks are on the clock at number 2. There's seemingly a clear-cut kind of top 2 prospects that are forwards, and then a group of defensemen. The Sharks have a ton of incredibly talented young forwards, and they, I think, have 1 or 2 defensemen signed for next year. So they're in a very unique situation that would, in almost every case, all things being equal, have them picking a defenseman. So they might consider it. And then you got the Chicago Blackhawks at 4, who have kind of been going through this rebuild for a number of years. They got Connor Bedard. They haven't really moved forward as an organization. And the thought out there is that if they could get some immediate help, they might consider moving off of that number 4 pick. Any thoughts on the Winnipeg Jets trying to get their guy that might not be available at 8 and what the cost to do that would be? Even if you're not talking about going all the way up to 2, but maybe something like 4.
Yeah, let's imagine, just for argument's sake, that the Winnipeg Jets really want to draft Carson Karels, and they just think he's not going to be available at 8. He's a cut above some of the, Verhoffs or Rudolphs or what have you. Somebody's going to take him. We want that player, Manitoban, farm grown, let's go, all of that. And they want to move up a little bit. For me, like I have no sense of what those teams like Chicago or San Jose are planning internally. But if the consensus of those that you read and the scouts that you talk to is right, and that there is maybe less of a drop-off, like the top-end talent in terms of Gavin McKenna is not Celebrini-esque, it's not Schaefer-esque, but the plateau kind of stays high for the first, 7, 8, 9 picks. If somebody out there, like San Jose, let's say they're fixated on a defenseman, or Chicago or whomever, like they could realistically be more enticed to move down and still get their guy this year. That has logic for me. But that's where like the real intel comes into this, where scouts are talking to each other when they go see players and, well, who do you like? Who do you like? They try to hide the information. Elliot Friedman says everybody lies at the draft, and I tend to agree with that as well. Like there's a lot of informational subterfuge sometimes, I think. And if you do have good information and your guy is, but then all of that would take the Jets to believe that the guy that they're moving up to is a cut above. And so I don't know. I think it's really interesting discussion, and that's where the real inside work comes from. And teams are working hard to get that info, and I'm sure the insiders and all the draft experts are too.
I will say this, and again, I don't have much of an appetite for them trading the pick. If they did trade the pick, that would be a scenario that would be intriguing, and you got to figure out what the cost is and who you're getting and all that. But I'd imagine from your perspective as well, if you even consider moving that pick for a player that's coming in, it has to be someone relatively young. They have to be under team control for a number of years, or come with the ability to, before making that deal done, signing them to a contract where you have cost certainty and clarity as to a long run of that player in the organization, as opposed to a quick fix.
100%. That is my number one driving thing. Get top-end talent, keep top-end talent. How do you do it if you're Winnipeg? It's got to come through the draft. It really does. Those 7 years of team control, I think, provide you the opportunity to give that player opportunities, experiences, memories, all of the things that connect you to a place, get them to fit in, like play with good teammates, all that sort of stuff that make people want to stay. If you're going to market for players outside of the organization, I believe this. And this is something Cheveldayoff says, Arniel says, when players come to Winnipeg, they eventually like it. And I tend to think that as well. I don't think we're the city that has the most exciting Lonely Planet articles in history, but I do think that we're a wonderful place that people find the value in. The trick is, you got to, if you're trading an asset as valuable as the number 8, it's got to be for somebody like, I want to say, Gabriel Velarde, who stayed, right? He signed well beyond his UFA years. He signed a 4-year extension. And you don't have perfect info on that kind of thing when you acquire the player. They still need to get to know you a little bit, make up their mind about the future. So there are examples where players, prime-aged, impactful, helpful, can be acquired. They come to Winnipeg, they see what's good, they choose to stay. We've just also seen so many examples in Jets history where that's not the case, especially with second line centers, which is Winnipeg's area of big need. So if there's a risk that 2 or 3 years from now this guy is gone, he's got to be way better than the average bottom six forward or what have you that we're talking about in terms of that pick's value.
Murat, let's assume that the team steps up to the podium and takes the guy that they want at 8, and he's probably not here for a couple years, maybe 1 year. But like this, let's just say that this season is out of the question. Could be wrong. Every now and then you see some 18-year-olds make an impact, but let's just assume for the sake of argument that that would be the case. If the 8 pick is not coming to save the day, how would you describe the to-do list for Kevin Cheveldayoff with the goal of making this team a heck of a lot more competitive consistently and avoiding the disappointment of last year?
Yeah, I think that the goal is the playoffs, and if they see themselves as contenders from here, like I can't sign up for that. I can't find the route. I can find plenty of routes to a playoff spot. All it takes is a little bit of regression from Connor Hellebuck. It takes a better power play. It takes better injury luck. It takes a much better season from Adam Lowry. It takes progression from Cole Perfetti. It takes health for Dylan Sandberg right out the gate. There are things that you can chain together and say, well, you know what? The Winnipeg Jets are better probably than an 8th worst or 7th worst team in the NHL. They have a reasonable argument to be average in that bubble mix or what have you. You need help on the second line for sure. I count Connor and Scheifele as bona fide first line forwards. Velarde's just about right there with him, and it's cool that he was able to drive results on a second line role. But if you go and look at the points per minute that Velarde put together with Connor and Scheifele, that's first line, great player, first line type of stuff. You go down to the second line, it's more like average second liner stuff. So really what that tells me is that he's not doing it all by himself, which is fine. Not everybody can. And he's still doing quite a bit from that second line hole, but Winnipeg needs more there. Perfetti needs a big step. Even if you get that, you need at least one more play driver in your middle six, and somebody who's going to help tilt the ice, spend time in the offensive zone. That's a big ask, I think. I think that is a tough ask, a challenge. All of my pieces in the last week or two sort of center on that idea, and it's a challenge when you go through the options. So that's tricky. And if you can get one piece, one good second line piece, head into the regular season thinking, okay, we've got a shot. Now it's January and you're actually a bona fide playoff team. You've kept up with the juggernauts of Colorado and Minnesota and Dallas and all that sort of stuff. Then you can look at tweaks and additions at the trade deadline or whatever. But I really think that the Winnipeg Jets' best case scenario in the playoffs is a chip in a chair, qualifying and then hoping to get hot and do all the right things.
We just had Connor on, and Connor put together a piece that's up on the YouTube channel right now over at Winnipeg Sports Talk of the kind of the Jets UFA and RFA preview of the players that were here right now. I'm sure you saw that Charlie Coyle contract yesterday. $6 million, which is not surprising. 6 years to take him to 40 years old, I think was a bit surprising. But you understand the challenge of a team like Columbus in a market like this and what it costs to have him avoid going to market and seeing what else is out there. Like, you go down this list of centers and it is very, very lean. And even if it was robust, we know the challenges of getting people here. It is difficult to imagine July 1st being the day that solves the problems for the Winnipeg Jets second line from where I'm sitting.
Yeah, I'm with you as well. And it's UFA historically a challenge for Winnipeg. This UFA crop historically challenging in terms of the level of talent available. And then you go to this cap that's increased to 104, which are 104 million, which people expected, but it creates a ton of room. You're not seeing a lot of cap-strapped teams. So you're expecting some of those spends to be expanded as well. And what's that going to leave you? I think as well, with the relative rarity of centers, maybe there's opportunity to find play driving wingers. And we know, like, it was only last year, for all the doom and gloom, it was only last year that a quote unquote second line, often a third line of Nikolai Ehlers, Vladislav Nemestikov, and Cole Perfetti made a hay. They crushed their minutes. It was all the fancy stats good, all the goals good. They outscored their opponents by a whole bunch. So what does that say to me now? If somehow centers are not available, if somehow there is a play driving winger with really good offense available, if for some reason the Dallas Stars do decide to trade Jason Robertson or whomever, like, maybe there are ways around the center issue similar to how Winnipeg has found success on that second line in the past. But even that, it requires Lowry to be such a good third line center that line dominates as well. And it's tough to find any one move that fixes everything for Winnipeg. The number of incremental improvements is vast. It is many that they need, and that's the challenge for me. It's hard to find their route to getting all of those moves right because they don't make many moves as a general rule. So centers, I don't know, Huss. I can't find it. I keep working. I keep writing. I keep even offer sheet candidates, Huss. Like, the amount of cap strap teams this year is not what it's historically been. And there's some challenges in if you're Winnipeg looking to add impact players.
Yeah, let's just find a William Karlsson with Columbus and turn him into the William Karlsson in his first year with Vegas, and then everyone will live happily ever after. Murat, it's a great read, folks. Get over to The Athletic right now. In addition to a number of other stories, the latest is on the 8th pick, should the Jets trade it at the NHL draft, waiting for The Athletic. Murat, thanks so much for the time. As always, have a great one, and get outside and enjoy the beautiful weather.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Huss.
Appreciate it. There's Murat. You can also follow him on X at WPG Murat. We are going to dive in to the PGA Championship in just a minute with our friend Geoff Fienberg. Of course, we'll get to the cool bet lines as well. If you just popped in a little late, don't forget 8 p.m. tonight, Winnipeg time. We got another WST poker tournament. Myself, Remis, Hammer will all be in. $100 bounties on our head. Entry is right around $30. You can go to my Twitter or Instagram story for details on it, but you're just going to want to go to CoolBet, get into the poker, go to tournaments, and then search WST, and we'll be throwing it down at 8 p.m. tonight. Should have another tent sale coming up in a couple weeks over at Royal Sports with the best deals, 50% or more off shoes and gear, merch. Right now, though, as we finally get some nice weather, get ready for soccer, softball, baseball season. They are fully stocked for the upcoming summer. You got tennis, you got pickleball, disc golf, tons of bikes in as well, not to mention all that World Cup gear getting ready for kickoff next month when the world comes to North America for it. Royal Sports, 750 Pembina Highway, your number one sports store in Winnipeg for over 60 years. Check them out as well on Instagram at Royal Sports Winnipeg for the latest merchandise drops and sale information. The countdown is on. 6 days to opening day for the Winnipeg Goldeyes. The home opener, over 90% sold next Tuesday, May 19th at the ballpark. If you're sleeping on it, do not wait. Get your tickets today. Go to goldeyes.com/tickets. Get them on your phone. First 5,000 fans get a red Goldeyes jersey. It's the best giveaway of the year. You can wear it all season long. So make your plans for next Tuesday for the Goldeyes home opener. Tickets and information on the upcoming season available now at goldeyes.com. We will get to our Assiniboia Downs picks a little bit later on today, but don't forget, May long weekend is coming up. Last Thursday, we had a great segment with our pal Michael Grajewski from Travel Manitoba on some camping options and things to do on the weekend. But if you are planning your next adventure, start with Travel Manitoba. Whether you're searching for road trip inspiration, hidden gems, or the latest festivals and events, everything you need is waiting at travelmanitoba.com. Looking for ideas on the go? Follow along on social media at Travel Manitoba for real-time inspiration, local tips, and can't-miss experiences from across the province. And if you prefer a personal touch, stop by the Visitor Information Center at the Forks in Winnipeg for more. And we will be at the Visitor Information Center in early June doing a live show. Looking forward to that. All right. Fresh off another Fienberg extravaganza yesterday, getting us ready for a major. We welcome in the man himself, Geoff Fienberg, Mayo Media Network, the Hammer, for major number 2. What's up, man? Great to have you back on the show. Oh, hold on a sec. I think we're muted or don't have a mic plugged in. That could be it. I will.
It would help if he was holding his microphone.
Yeah, and I don't think it's plugged in either.
Oh my God, not even on the desk.
Listen, there's a lot going on. The computer very rarely had to be moved. It had to be moved. Geez. That's on me. I've had worse. You know what? I've had worse intros into the show before. So that let's just say quick recovery. Huss.
Yeah, no doubt.
Quick
How did yesterday go? I mean, you set the bar pretty high going into Masters Week.
No offense. Like the PGA Championship in May, sandwiched between where it is, these elevated events, like a fart in the wind. I mean, I did 4 hours for the Masters extravaganza. Obviously, I don't want to say I didn't enjoy doing yesterday. Have a blast. There's always money to be made. But, you know, I warned the guys, like from an analytics perspective, PGA Championship, it ain't going to play as hard. I just promise you. I used to make fun of it, Huss, when it was the 4th major in August. For the obvious low-hanging fruit. No kid ever grows up anywhere in the world wanting to win the PGA Championship. For an American, it's pretty much like the Masters or maybe the U.S. Open. For an international kid, it's the Brit, it's the Open, or it's the Masters, right? Like that's what you're doing when you're in your driveway scoring the winning goal for overtime. But being the last shot at glory was at least being known for something. Now it just might as well be an elevated event. Am I wrong? You tell me.
No, I mean, the juice for a major championship isn't at the levels, probably even close, for the big 3. I mean, the Masters is special and probably stands alone because it's the start of the season. The Open, the U.S. Open are unique in their own ways, and this is sort of the other one, and especially with the players. Like, I'm not sure this is much above the players other than it is categorized as a major championship. That being said, the field is always incredible. We've got the best in the world.
Like everything I just said, we'll get a great weekend leaderboard. I'm just saying, when you're the last major, you're at least, it's like, let's say someone like Cam Young, right? Let's say he doesn't get it done this week, struggles at the U.S. Open. It's like, okay, well, this is the last shot. Like, you had this great year. This is the last shot. Like, show us. Finish it. I don't know. It just doesn't stand for anything where it is, I would say.
Yeah, no.
Standing for little is standing for nothing is worse than standing for little. I would turn it on.
Tell us about Aaron Mink. First of all, where is it? This is not a course that has some history, but not a lot of recent history, and it's been a while since we've actually seen a major here.
Yeah, Aronimink, West Philadelphia, Huss. They'll be playing it as a par 70, about 7,300 yards, and that's the beauty of the major championship week, though. And I do want to say the last few PGA championships, all the champions have been worthy. They do a great job with the course setup. They're not like the U.S. Open where they're trying to, they're dependent on a final score. Whatever sort of is in front of them, they will do their best with. And I trust them, like you would trust a GM that you like to, make good draft picks. But this is a course, Huss, that the beauty of this week and trying to bet it, or you're playing your DFS, your daily fantasy, what have you, is, we go to the Masters and there's a data set. Like, that's just enormous. We've been there forever. There's so much data. You know exactly, almost like hole to hole, shot to shot, what's needed, how it's going to play. The unknowns of going to a place like this are kind of exciting. And you just, you got to choose the path of who's this thing going to suit? The plotters, the bombers, where's the trouble going to come? And this is not a knock on Aronimink. It seems like a beautiful facility, but I don't think we're getting U.S. Open light this week. I don't know where they're going to find trouble for these players. Oak Hill a couple years ago, they had just finished a renovation to make that place impossible. And the members wanted it that way. They wanted a course that's going to host major championships for a decade, for the next, 100 years. 50 years. Aronimik had a big renovation, and that one was more suited to the members, right? Old rich guys who want to be able to get around their golf course a lot, not play like a monster. I don't know. I think the PGA Tour, I think the winning score, you can bet the under. I mean, I guess it would be, the under on it. I think these guys are clearing like 13 under this week, Huss.
Now, is there a, after all the research that's been done and the people you talked to, is there a style of player that has an advantage? I mean, do you have to nuke it off the tee? Is it the short irons? Is it short game? Or are we going to be talking about the guy that probably is the best putter holding the Wanamaker on Sunday afternoon?
Here's the crazy part of it. I did that extravaganza you mentioned yesterday. Had a, potpourri of different people. And it was a lot of just different opinions. There was no consensus. A lot of guys have a betting card that's filled with your positional players, your plotters, your shot makers. And then, there's just like the bomb. I don't want to say as far as bomb and gouge, but there aren't a lot of trees here. Hit it as far as you can. What's interesting, you'll note here, Huss, is the bunkers. What would normally be like one huge bunker at a course, like you're just picturing a fairway bunker, here, it's like a cross in the middle where they're segmented into like 4 little bunkers. So if you get one of those, you're in big trouble because they're so small that you have to, I don't want to call them pop bunkers, but you have to play out of them. And there's so much weird sloping around them in a weird landing areas around them where you could have a situation where your full body is in the bunker and the ball is not. Right. So that is something to be interested in. And as I say that, well, I look at the distances. I feel like the Bombers can carry all these things. Of course, isn't even as long as as Quail a week ago. There aren't many holes. I mean, the last hole's a brute, but there aren't many holes where it's like you got a 400-yard a par 4 with like 185, 200-yard approach shot coming in. So I'm taking the lane of the Bombers, guys that just hit it further. That's sounds simple, right? Sounds simple.
Yeah.
Rory got up to the podium yesterday and said he's just smashing driver everywhere. Now, he might be a bad guy to ask because I feel like he does that everywhere. But even a guy like Matt Fitzpatrick, who's known as a bit more of a cerebral player, kind of alluded to, I think we're going to smash it everywhere. But even people I know, they're talking to caddies, they're still a bit of a different opinion on this. But I am riding the Bomber lane. And I'll be, if I'm proven wrong, hats off.
Now, I will say this. Historically, when we've gotten to these majors, I notoriously am staying away from the top guys in the short numbers and picking in the 20s and 30s and maybe some 40s and trying to go big. It's hard to stay away from Scottie Scheffler. And if you are betting Scheffler, our buddy Pat Mayo has twisted Patty and the boys at Coolbet's arm. If you go into the exclusives, he's at plus 450. You've seen him like anywhere between 4-1 and 5-1, boosted to plus 600. So if you do want to get action on Scottie Scheffler, do it in the exclusives. Click on the PMA Weekly Boost and jump on that. I am in on Scottie, and it does seem like there is a part of Scheffler's game, Geoff, that sort of feels inevitable. And he's been right around it lately. Obviously didn't have the full Masters that he wanted to, but was a threat at the end. I don't know. From my perspective, the more we get, I think it might be a bigger bet at the top of the board and then a couple sprinkles on some long shots. How do you feel about Scheffler, and is it kind of him versus everybody else?
Shout out to the folks at Coolbet. I think that's the best number on planet Earth for Scottie Scheffler to win this week. So, Patty G's either going to be loving or hating what he got. Mayo let him talk him into, because I'm sure a lot of listeners on this show, I mean, the guy sometimes feels like he's got his B- game. He's still coming second place.
Yeah. Feels
like he can't hit a pot. He's sloppy for 2 days. He still comes in second place. I'm scared. Yeah. You make a bet, you live in fear of him. Even if your bet doesn't matter what your bet is doing. And like, your bet could be leading. It doesn't matter by how many strokes. And Scottie could be playing poorly. I'm always like tracking where this great white shark is. Does feel inevitable. 3 straight. Wouldn't that be 3 in a row? Or do I have my math wrong?
Yeah.
3 straight PGA championships.
I think you're right. I'm going to pull this up right now.
But let's be real, Huss. It almost doesn't matter what happens this week. I think come Sunday night, and if Scotty's running away with this on the weekend, you could say Friday night or Saturday afternoon, the conversation will then turn to the Grand Slam at Shinnecock. That's where it's going to turn. And it's funny because isn't it one of those things? I'm not a horse racing guy, but didn't we get like 2 triple crowns? We got none for our whole lives, and then we got 2 of them so quickly.
Bang, bang.
Wouldn't that be crazy to just get a Grand Slam with completion in back-to-back years in golf?
I mean, that would be, and it's entirely, I mean, listen, Rory is incredible. It took him a long time. It kind of feels like Scotty's able to do this almost at any point.
I mean, some people say Shinnecock might not be the most perfect venue for Scotty, but yeah, I'm with you, Huss. I mean, hats off to Rory. He spotted Rory what felt like almost 2 touchdowns, and he still made it. That's the thing. So if Scotty just loiters early and doesn't put himself in the holes that he has been, I mean, every bet we all make is probably drawing dead.
This he's only got the 1 PGA last year.
I don't know what, he got arrested back to back. He got arrested at Valhalla. He didn't win Valhalla. That's I just because when I think of Valhalla, I think of Scotty, but then I think about it even longer. It's like he didn't win.
It was a mugshot. It was a mugshot. No, it happened afterwards. But yeah, the 2 Masters, last year's PGA and last year's Open Championship. So when we look at the board with Scheffler at the top, then Rory, your guy Cam Young, who has been brilliant this year, Rahm, Xander, Ludwig Oberg, and then kind of Bryson and Fitz around 20, Tommy Fleetwood at 25, and then a big gap, and then a bunch of guys at 40. Like of the 25s and unders, if you're not on Scotty Scheffler, where does the card start? And I would think you're going to probably have a piece of Cam Young if I know you.
Yeah, well, I've been betting Cam Young since the winter time, so this bear, would be. We're going to eat good, Cam. We're going to eat good, Haas.
What were those numbers like earlier on?
Well, there were people crazier than me, like even truer believers who have like 100, 150 to 1. Wow. I got in at 70, re-upped at 50, and I'll pat myself and Mayo on the back again. We did our holiday majors preview. We were all over Matthew Fitzpatrick for this week at 80 to 1. So I feel... I mean, I've done great work there, but and Cam Young, it would just be incredible. I'd love to see it. Here's the problem, Huss. He lost 5 strokes on Sunday at the Truist, and we just hope it's a small hiccup because it's been so good for so long, and he reverted to old Cam Young last week. So hopefully that was just a blip. I'm glutton for punishment. I'm glutton for underachievers. If you ask me to make a bet right now outside of the big 2, that's, not Cam Young, I would tell you Ludwig Aberg. He's still got a lot to prove for some people, but I think a course like this can just suit him quite well. Strong lag putter, which I think will be important on these tiered greens. But when I mention these bombers, one of these bombers is not even going to be playing from the fairway. Like, to me, one big hitter is just going to be so locked in with the driver that guy, bombs away. I hope it can be Ludwig. But that whole profile, like going further back, I took a little bit of Gotterup without Scotty at 50 to 1 because at that level I'm so afraid of Scotty. So I'm really sort of I'm playing the bomber train. Most people's accounts on the rough, Huss, is that it's spotty. So it's kind of hit or miss. And we've seen that before at some major venues. Like, Pinehurst is different, but it comes to mind where you can get a great lie or you can get a horrible lie. And, it's just luck. But I'm betting guys who get me closer to the green this week.
Any either long shot nukes like a 50 or more that are going to be on the card, or from all the guys you talked to yesterday, was there a top 10, a top 20, a top nationality, a bet or two that sort of stood out that you think people might want to consider?
Geez, there's so many that it's just a bit of a blur. But I always let your listeners know when we speak on the Mondays that if you just go hit up that YouTube page in the fast 5 minutes, we just read off every single bet. You don't even have to watch everybody's. We just name whose it is. We read them off. There, that's just go get the milk. It's at the end, all of it. You don't have to flip through anything. I mentioned I'm in for punishment. Patrick Cantlay, Huss. He's playing
top 10 every week.
What?
He's like top 10 every week.
Yeah, but he's going to do sucks me in. He's going to do typical Cantlay, finish like T8 or T12. So I'm there, but he was really good at Philly Cricket Club last year, which is a neighboring course where they played Quail Hollow because the PGA was there. That's one I like. I've got some bomb Ricky Fowler futures as well, but wouldn't that be lovely? I don't know if I'm in on the current Ricky numbers. And I'll tell you, there's a couple of live players who I also do like Terrell Hatton, but north of 100 to 1. I've been a sucker. I think you've been a sucker too before.
But yeah.
He ain't 40 to 1 anymore. There ain't all this hype. There ain't all this, what's Yako going to do this week? There's not even a single word about him. And he's forgotten, and that's fair. But maybe that's better for him. He's a completely under the radar golfer right now. Hits it on an arrow, long and straight with the driver, with the irons. I'm not giving up Yako Niemann. I probably, if Remis rolled the tape of PGA Championship 2 years ago, last year, I'm probably saying I wish I could find a sports book to give me a 10-year contract on Yako Niemann at the PGA Championship at 40 to 1 flat. I will sign that. Well, guess what? 120 today. So I'm not the sucker. I was going to be the sucker. They didn't let me be the sucker. And today I get it at 120. So I cannot resist. And as well, Thomas Detry, top 20, 4 to 1. This guy has just been hitting it so clean around live. If Rahm wasn't winning every week, he's being as consistent as anybody. I like Yako and Detry in top live if it gets away from the boys at the top.
Yeah, I was going to just mention that. Of course, if you go to Coolbet, they've got all the top Canadians. We've put a couple that we'll get up in the specials as well in the combo cards for tonight. And Pat there is another great exclusive, which is Sudarshan Yalamaraju, our guy from the Dome, 325 to be top Canadian.
He's got more top 20s this year than Connors and Pendrith combined.
Top 20 machine.
Yeah, geez.
And
it's
now
almost sad. I look seeing the numbers on Corey this week because a course like this, you'd really be all over him. Do I have 30 seconds a minute to talk to you about Jon Rahm?
100%.
I forgetting about betting for a second, Hustler. To me, this is the story in golf. He is the story in golf. He went to live, he took the 400 million. The thing about it is, we can all agree the day he went to live, the weeks, days, month after, was that not the most legitimate live ever was? In your mind, the moment they got Jon Rahm, did live ever feel more legitimate or real?
No, without a doubt.
It didn't last long because they realized he's a great golfer, but he's just a great golfer, right? And now he's in this situation where he could be stuck there. There's so many unknowns. He's being coy about he's being respectful and weird a bit at the podium. But here's the thing. I don't think there's a player in golf who has more on the line in this summer's major calendar than Jon Rahm has. And our opinions of Jon Rahm, the public's opinion of Jon Rahm, it pretty much fluctuates major to major at this point. If he plays great, positive. If he plays bad at a major, it's negative. Unlike all the other PGA players, there aren't 2-3 elevated events between majors where you could suck in a major, go play great at Quail, and it's oh, you're great. I am just so fascinated because he is such an alpha. And I'm certain he's created this Jon Rahm versus the world. F everybody versus me right now. That's how he must feel. And to me, how he's going to play this week, and I still think he could win. That's not even a shocking call. But there's not a player I am more curious and fascinated about than this guy.
He's kind of an enigma, and he's turned into one. He wasn't that way before. And, with Liv seemingly falling apart at the seams right now, no clear future for it moving forward. Never mind, what happens to his contract, whether he's even going to get all the money. There's a lot on his head, but truly events like this are where he can put all of that to the side if he plays well. But again, if he goes and misses the cut, all we're talking about how is this guy, one of the great players of this generation, has sort of made a decision that's, while it's made him a lot richer, has really taken his career and his trajectory completely off course. Do you think he'll do well? Will we be talking about him on Sunday?
I want to say yeah. I think he could thrive in this, screw everybody. And I want to be a bit of an apologist for him at the Masters. Because I'm living in this world where I'm assuming within 36, 40 hours of his opening tee shot, he found out the live stuff was the Saudi money was going away. And then he shot a 78 in round one. And by Sunday, he's shooting 65s again or something. I think he's going to play great. I thought about betting him. The problem right now with Jon Rahm is I don't know. He might be the fourth best golfer in the world, but he also might be the 9th or 10th. And I didn't want to bet him as the fourth best golfer in the world when I wasn't sure about that.
Bring it on.
9th or 10th might be a stretch, but 7th or 8th.
Hey, just before we go, some people in the chat wanted to know where's your Jays meter at right now?
You asked this, I'm going to break down. I'm having such traumatic experiences, Hustler. I go, it's golf season. We're all trying to get our first reps in. It's that time of year. There's a lot of people, you saw in the fall, you saw golfing, you saw at the golf club. I do not want to talk about last year. Everyone I walk into, my dad's friends, golf friends, the guys that work there, I love them all. They all know that picture of me on people want to talk about it. And I love that half hour before you golf. Some people hate it. It's like doom. I love it. Getting my waters or my drinks, just, yucking it up with friends. I love it. To me, it's I'd equate it to I love drafting in fantasy with my friends at the live draft, but the second the season starts, it all goes to shit. They're ruining my joy of my time before my rounds of golf. So I'm still stuck on last year, to let the audience know. I do trust this organization though. Baseball's so weird. Yeah, there it is. Baseball's so weird where you can injuries happen. It's just not your year. I do trust that they will figure it out and we will be a long-standing team that's deep into seasons competing for playoff spots. So I don't have that lost faith, but this season's been a grind, man. Oh yeah, here we go again.
There it is. That's the IL and everything that's happened so far since that infamous seventh game.
That's it. So I gave it to you guys. But yeah, because you see people you haven't seen in forever. People you do summer activities with. You haven't seen them since the fall.
And it's time to relive it all one more time. Well, I'm with you. I can't even watch.
And I know you're Austin, poor Fienberg. What a grow a pair. I know. You're right.
Hey, man, this is a lot of fun. It always is having you on the program. What you and the fellas going to be firing it up for a little cut sweat action on Friday? What's coming up?
Haas, it's better than that. If you like me and that crew over there, this is the greatest week of the year. We'll be doing an NFL schedule release show that's going to drop. We might be doing a quick round one recap, and then of course the cut sweat. So it is we never do that much in a short period of time together. And yeah, so it's going to be a busy few days at the Mayo Media Network. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, say hi to Pat. Thank him for the 6-1 on Scotty, as well as
especially
our pal
on
Pat Gregor, and say hi to Judge Cust as well.
Thanks, Huss.
Thanks, pal.
Later,
There is
Remis.
Geoff
So
Fienberg.
proud of my recovery off the top.
Yeah, listen, it's just professional. Professional, not your first time doing this. Oh man, that was a lot of fun. Always love major weeks and bringing Geoff on. We will get to those cool bet lines, but again, get into the exclusives. That PM me boost if you want a piece of Scheffler 6-1 waiting for you over at Coolbet, as is our poker tourney tonight, 8 p.m. Hope you'll join us. Should be a lot of fun. Again, poker, go to Coolbet, click on poker, go into tournaments, and then search WST. 8 p.m. we get going. Come for the bounties on my head, Jeff's Hamilton's head, and Michael Remis's head as well. All right, we are going to get to our ASD picks and the first horse race, not a marble race, a horse race for our first invite to join us and the WST team on June 3rd in the Terrace Dining Room for a night of racing and great food at Assiniboia Downs. I'm heading out to Aikens Lake in less than 2 weeks. I cannot wait to get out there. First time I've ever been there early in the season. Aikens is ready for a great season after losing part of it last year to the neighboring forest fires. It is all systems go for 2026, and they're booking well into the summer. If you're looking for a fly-in fishing experience where you can be on the water in less than 2 hours from the city of Winnipeg, check out aikenslake.com. World-class fishing and even more world-class hospitality from the Terren family and the Aikens team. Go to aikenslake.com or at Aikens Lake on socials for more information on options and availability for the 2026 fishing season. A great golf segment there with Geoff Fienberg. Of course, all of our golf segments on the show are brought to you by our friends at Breezy Bend. Sure, there'll be some happy people out at Breezy taking advantage of this beautiful day today. If you're looking for a long-term home for you and your family at one of Winnipeg's top private courses, check out Breezy Bend. You can go online to breezybend.ca for more information or give our pal Corey Johnson a call, 895-7205. And I can't wait for our Breezy Bend leader reports the next couple days featuring the PGA Championship. All right, we're going to get to the cool bet lines as well as our horse racing picks, and then the first race to finish up the program to see who's getting that invite with us for Assiniboia Downs. First, though, let's give a big cheers to our friends at Winnipeg's favorite local brewery, Little Brown Jug.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
All right, great stuff. And hey, I do want to mention, just coming off that conversation with Geoff, interested in everyone's thoughts. Let's do the why not question of the day for Not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray. Who you got winning the PGA Championship this week? Let us know your pick in the chat right now for those of us here on YouTube. And speaking of the chat, big shout out to Winnipeg Puck 5508 who dropped a nice super chat for the boys in. Birthday week celebrations have started. Thanks, Huss and WST, for doing the people's work in Winnipeg sports. Winnipeg Puck, have yourself a wonderful birthday week and a great long weekend. Good time to have a birthday heading into a long weekend. Hope you have a great time. Really appreciate your support here of Winnipeg Sports Talk. All right, before we get to the horse racing festivities, let's get to the odds over at Coolbet. And listen, while we're at it, I'm just going to go right over to the PGA Championship. We mentioned that number on Scheffler. That's the PME exclusive boost. As far as the tournament goes, Scheffler regularly is plus 450. Again, get the 6-1 if you are on Scheffler. Rory is 8-1. Cam Young 12-1. John Rahm 14, Xander Schauffele 16, Ludwig Oberg 18, Bryson DeChambeau and Matty Fitzpatrick at 20-1, Tommy Fleetwood at 25, and then a big gap. And then you get to Patrick Cantlay at 40-1. That 3-1 number on Cantlay for a top 10, I think is very, very tempting. He has been his worst result in his last 5 tournaments has been T12 at the Masters. He's 40-1 to win the tournament. Rose, Morikawa, I'm going to get a piece of Morikawa at 40-1. They're there. And then the 50s include Ricky Fowler, who actually showed out quite well last week in the lead-in, as well as Tyrrell Hatton and Chris Gotterup. Check the combo cards as well. We'll have some more options, and I do like Sudarshan Yelamaraju. I'm going to get on that exclusive, plus 325 from 280 to be the top Canadian at the event. It's packed right now in the exclusives and over in the golf section for the PGA Championship. Get them in today because tee-off goes tomorrow morning. Tonight in the NHL, we've got the Wild and the Colorado Avalanche. Avalanche minus 219, Minnesota plus 185 to get this thing back to the Twin Cities for a Game 6. The Avs minus 1.5, so to win by 2 is plus 117. And you know what I'm going to look at tonight? You know who's been very quiet in this series so far, Remis? It's actually Cale Makar. And, I see the numbers come down. It was plus 200 earlier. It's plus 195. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a big Makar game to ice this one tonight. Thinking over 1.5 points, plus 195 for the top defenseman in the league. Speaking of which, we do have a Calder winner, which we will get to in just a minute. But Wild, big underdog tonight. I think the Avalanche finish them off. I'm going to probably jump on the puck line at plus 115. NBA playoffs this evening. We have the Cavs and the Pistons. Huge Game 5 in the D. Pistons 4-point favorites against the Cavaliers. And yes, speaking of Coolbet, Reem, I'm looking forward to seeing the balance of my Coolbet account because it is official. Matthew Schaefer, unanimous winner of the Rookie of the Year. We got on that just before opening day at 17-1. I think by the time the Jets game finished, he was about 3-1. It was like minus 10,000 down the stretch. So anyone that rode with me, good news. That one is in and will be in the account, but absolutely no drama as to who was winning the Rookie of the Year this year.
Unanimous, first time a unanimous winner since Teemu Selanne with the Winnipeg Jets in 1993. Incredible stuff. And here are the other. Here's how the voting went. Demidov at the second most voting points. Beckett Seneke, the third most. Jakob Dobes, fourth. Snuggerud, Wallstedt, Nikishin, and then it went down the list. But certainly deserving winner. Former first overall pick, age 18 defenseman, changing the Islanders franchise. So well-deserved. And they did the presentation on Good Morning America. And then he took the Calder Trophy right to the hospital to share with some sick kids. So Matthew Schaefer, stand-up individual, bright career ahead for him.
Oh, yeah, no, he's the real deal. Man, so much fun to play. And I just think back to especially having that Schaefer Calder ticket. And then what did the Jets played the Islanders in the third game of the season? Fourth game of the season? He played 26 and a half minutes, and the next defenseman on the team was like 17. And you realize we're dealing with a whole nother level of young player. And he ran away with the award this year. So congratulations and a big thank you to Matthew Schaefer for being the stud that he is. All right. Again, if you haven't played a cool bet before, you can play poker tonight with us, 8 p.m. And if you want to take advantage of our WST boost and you haven't played there before, use that promo code WST on your first deposit for a 100% bonus up to $200 on your first deposit. All right, Remo, it is time to get out to Assiniboia Downs for night number 2. We will do our little horse race at the end of 10 of the entries. If you missed it, you can get in for the next 2. Go to winnipegsportstalk.com/contest. Just fill out the information. We'll be drawing 10 more names for next week's race as well as the following week. And looking forward to having our winners and their guesses, our guests, out at Assiniboia Downs on the 3rd of June. How did things go for you last night on our first day of live racing head-to-head competition, Reem?
Not particularly great. I had one horse that was scratched, so I got my bet back. So none of my other bets won, so I got a small refund there. I'll take it, I guess.
Yeah, that'll be fine. I actually had a pretty good, I think my strategy of being a little chalky for these first 2 races worked out quite well. I'm targeting some horses that are coming in from other tracks that have already raced so far this year. And it actually worked out well last night. I think I had one of my races was maybe a scratch because I bet 4 and got back 4. So I think maybe the guy in the 3rd race was scratched. So that was a push. I had a very small win on that triactor, which was pretty chalky. $6 bet, paid $8.30. Missed on race 5, but then hit my winner in race 4, which paid $11.50 on $5. So up a little bit. I just wanted to get through this first week being up. Got the picks just about completed for tonight. How are you looking for this evening's activities at ASD?
I got my picks in. I'm trying to take some of your advice, maybe not go crazy. I did a lot of exactas tonight where, there's a heavy favorite.
Yep.
And then a second one that had okay odds, so maybe the payout gets bumped up. So we'll see if I can get anything here going today. I'm on race 1, 2, 3, 6.
Okay, why don't you just roll these through? I've got 3 of my races in, and while you do that, I'm going to decide on a little triactor action for the final race of the day. What are you cooking?
I'm on exacta box race 1, 1-5, just like that, and not so swift. That is the program selection in AI Smart Pick. Race 2, 2-3, again, program and AI Smart Pick, Emirates Affair, Welcome to Hollywood. And race 3, exacta box, that is 3-4, Prime Suspect, and Are You Not Entertained? So that's the favorite and the one who's in 3rd on the program selection, AI Smart Pick. So maybe this Are You Not Entertained at 6-1 if it hits, bumps up the pay if I do win. And the other one, race 6, I'm going with a winner, $2 on Sarah's Vision. Bit of a longer shot here.
Nicely done. All right, my picks for tonight are as follows. I am going race number 1. I am throwing $5 on number 1, just like that, to win. I guess that's the second favorite horse behind Not So Swift. Then we're going to skip a couple races, and we're going to race number 4. We're going $4 on number 2, Legata Salvage, to win. Race number 5, we are going with number 6. That is Chief Brady, clear favorite. We're putting $5 on Chief Brady. And then we're going with a little triactor action. $1 turns into a $6 triactor box. 2, 5, and 8. So the 2 sort of favorites, Star Canoe and Ship Boss. And I'm adding in Valley Victory, who is just coming off a win over at Woodbine in their last race out, albeit that was at the end of November. So putting it all together, that's our where we're going today. Try to keep it in the black for week 1, and then the horse fields will grow throughout the year as the local horses sort of get back into shape now that we've got some good weather here. You can always watch the Downs over on the YouTube channel with Kirk and Stretch. And you can also bet the track if you'd like, hpibet.com for Assiniboia Downs and tracks around the world. All right, Reem, I'm looking forward to this. People love the marble race on the program. We figured, what can we do with a little bit of a horse racing flair to give away and award our winners? So we're going to do a little bit of it's a bit of a generic horse racing sim, but it allows us to put 10 people in, run the race, and see who the winner is.
Yes, what is it? HorseRaceSimulator.com.
HorseRaceSim.com.
Oh, that's that one. Sorry, there's a couple. Horse Race Sim. Yes, this is the one. Okay, let me put all the horse names in.
Perfect. Yes, let us know who our 10 entrants are. By the way, this is going to be a very simple 3-lap race. Probably will take about 1 minute. We'll have the thrills of a horse race, of a marble race as well. And again, whoever is the winner, we'll be contacting them. That's part of the reason why we need to be able to get you, which we can't really do through YouTube. So that's why it's done through the website. We'll contact you, and the winner and a guest will join the WST team, and some friends. Should be a real fun. Come hungry, and hopefully ready to win a few bets on June 3rd when we'll be out. Right now, you can give them a call to book the dining room as it's filling up. I know they were sold out days 1 and 2 of the regular live racing season. And listen, it's just a great way to spend a night, especially if you like some high-end prime rib and all the fixing as Double D sets up.
I have the 10 names in the Horse Race Sim.
Beautiful. Give us the names.
All right. Shout out to had put all the names in. I got my good friend ChatGPT to spit out 10.
Working hard today.
Working hard. Derek Schmidt, Kaylee, Jesse, Kelly, Dustin, Darren, Brent, Amanda, Kurt Schmidtke, Jason Chips. A lot of names
right on
the list.
Few regulars, couple familiars, some new folks. Well, good luck to everyone. So as soon as Remis presses start, we are going to begin the race. It's 3 laps. The winning horse will represent the winner, and them and a guest joining us at ASD on June 3rd. Remo, I think we're ready to go. Let's start it up, and good luck to everyone. All right, here we go. The horses begin. See, a little bit of marbles type action here, folks. Who are our first couple races? Well, someone's coming around the red
Kelly
on the outside.
Kelly Monkman, Kurt Schmidtke's on the outside. Dustin V is in there.
Nicely done. All right, Kelly's in the lead, eh?
Kelly's in the lead. Kurt Schmidtke is going around the outside. Dustin V and Darren Brown. Those 4 separating from the pack. Kurt's got some speed, though, coming around this.
Yeah, big time. All right, we're down to the final lap. This is it. The winner at the end of this lap. Can anyone close the gap? It looks like it's a bit of a 2-horse race. Outside lane. Kurt going the long way. But he's in very good shape. Kurt now with the lead. Can he get caught? Will it be Kurt? Will it be Kelly? It's Kurt. Kurt Schmidtke. Congratulations. Well done. The thrill. T. Conopoli. LOL, awesome. It's like a hobby horse race from Tristan Rivers Music. Kurt can't handle running so much longer. Oh, Kurt Schmidtke's Cowboy.
Yeah, that's Cowboy.
Oh, Cowboy, right on.
I don't know if
long-time
he's in
supporter
the
of
chat.
WST. If he's not here, he'll have to go back to C. How did everyone enjoy the race? We figured it's a lot easier than just picking a number or something. Inspired by marbles with a horse racing theme. Kurt Schmidtke, the Cowboy, is the winner of today. What you're going to want to do, gang, if you weren't in this race, is just make sure you go to Winnipeg Sports Talk at gmail.com, or sorry, winnipegsportstalk.com/contest. Put in all your information, and then we're doing this again next Wednesday and the following Wednesday for all of you there. And a huge thanks to Assiniboia Downs for their support of WST, and we can't wait to do that. And we are going to have to do a big WST night at the track later on this year, Remo. We've talked about this. I talked to Darren Dunn. They'll set something up with the room beforehand, maybe a little bit of a primer, probably put out a nice little spread for everybody, give everyone a free $2 bet, and get out there. Hopefully we can just get a nice day and get a big crew, much like we do for the Gold Eyes game, which is coming up at the end of June.
Yeah, so we'll have to pick a day. We do have the Gold Eyes game June 30th. Looking forward to that. Maybe something August, or maybe something to kick off the end of the summer, September. We'll have to pick a day because horse racing, it goes till like October now. Live racing.
It does. I think we want to go in the summer. Yeah, definitely in the summer. Like at some point when we're all around in July or in August, I think we'll do it. And obviously the days are great. It never coincides with Bombers being Tuesday and Wednesday. But they're back at it post time tonight, 7:30 p.m. Hopefully we can get a few more winners. And I would maybe normally go, but I'm busy tonight. I have to defend this bounty on my head at the poker tourney. You were away last time, Rima. How fired up are you to get back out and know that everyone's gunning for you in that 100 on your dome?
Yeah, so we did like the first tournament almost 2 years ago, and I got second, and I haven't placed since. I think I've been on the bubble like 3 times, and it's good. I've had some time off to think about it, to work on my game, because I remember when I got eliminated the last time, like I was throwing stuff. So I needed to cool off. I'm mentally ready to take it as far as I can tonight, hoping, that I can at least finish in the money on this one.
That'll be nice.
This.
We'll see who's there. But one thing Hustlerama, Remis, short side snipe 9, I think is Hammer's poker alias. $100 bounty on all of our heads if you can take us out. We get going at 8 p.m. tonight. If you can't be there right at 8, you can register in through the first hour. And good luck to everyone. I hope we will see you tonight for a fun game of poker online over at CoolBet. I think the timing of this is perfect too, Reem. Like I always like to do it at my home on my desktop, and I'll have the TV set up right beside us. And it is 7 o'clock start tonight. So I guess they got to get going a little early in Denver tonight. 6 o'clock local start, 7 o'clock here. So basically around the second period will be starting. We'll be starting the tourney. So lots to do tonight. Blue Jays in action tonight as well. I'll probably be spending some time watching live from the PGA Championship on the Golf Channel and putting together a final few wagers for the event tonight. Fun show today. Great stuff with Murat as always. Man, it's been fun getting into these Bomber conversations. John Hodge was great today. And all-time WST fan favorite, my guy Geoff Fienberg, joining us today on the program. Hopefully we'll see you at poker tonight, folks. If not, tomorrow, 1 p.m., we're back at it. And don't forget, on the YouTube channel, UFA and RFA preview for the Winnipeg Jets. Up by our man Connor Rabchak, who joined us earlier today. Thanks for being with us. We will see you tomorrow, 1 p.m., right here on Winnipeg Sports Talk.
Oh, my God! Oh! Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.